This is Algebra 1, test number 14, all the way through lesson 4.6. We only did through slope-intercept form this week, study guide. First couple actually for the slope and the y-intercept. This is in slope-intercept form. Remember, slope-intercept form is y equals mx plus b. We learned this week that in mx plus b, your m value is your slope, and your b value is your y-intercept. That's what we learned this week. So if it's in that form, y equals something times x plus something, and it's showing you each of those things. Remember, plus b doesn't mean it has to say plus. That just means it's combining the two. If it says minus, it's just like adding a negative number. So this first equation, y is equal to 4/3 x plus 1, is in mx plus b form. It shows us, the first thing, it shows us what m is. That's our slope. Remember, you abbreviate slope, or the variable that's used for slope is m. So the slope for number 1 is 4/3. It's not 4/3x, it's just 4/3. And the y-intercept is this thing that is next to that. It's not just 1, it's -1. So the y-intercept, which again, you abbreviate y-intercept with b, equals -1. So those are the two things that you're looking for in number 1. It's already in slope-intercept form. There was no work you had to do. You just had to identify the two values, 4/3 and -1. Number 2 is in what's called standard form. Ax plus by is equal to c, where this is a, this is b, and this is c. We'll talk more about standard form later. We want to put it in slope-intercept form, since those are the two things that we're looking for. We're looking for a slope and a y-intercept. In order to do that, we need to make it say y equals mx plus b. We don't have that form right there, so we got to do some manipulating of this equation to make it do that. In order to do that, remember, you work your order of operations in reverse. Instead of please excuse my dear Aunt Sally, you work Aunt Sally, then my dear, then excuse, then please. So there's addition and subtraction happening on the first line. Undo it. It says positive 12x or plus 12x. Undo that by subtracting 12x. If you're going to do it to that side, subtract it on this side. That doesn't give you 48x, because you can't take it away from 60, because they're not like terms. One has an x, the other doesn't. This cancels this part of it out, and it leaves you with 3y is equal to, now we have two terms on the right, 60 and -12x. Remember, in order to make it say slope-intercept form, let's put the x term first. So -12x and then positive 60. Not quite y equals mx plus b. Something times y equals mx plus b. So let's get rid of that next step, that's something times y, 3 times y, by dividing by 3. Remember, though, if you divide one thing by 3, you have to divide everything on the other side by 3. It'll cancel this out here and leave you with y equals, now we get an mx plus b. -12 divided by positive 3. Opposite signs are always going to be negative 4x. And then 60 divided by 3 is positive 20. Now we have y equals mx plus b. Notice that's not the answer to problem number 2. It just puts it into a form to where we can see both things. So remember, this is now y equals mx plus b. We can see it here, just written a little smaller. The m value, which is our slope, is the thing that's multiplying by x. This is your m. m equals -4. And the b value, which is your y-intercept, is what is after that, the 20 that's adding to it. b is positive. There's no reason to write the plus in front of it. 20. So there's your slope and your y-intercept. Number 3 says use the slope and y-intercept to graph the equation. Y is equal to -1/2 x minus 20. This is in y equals mx plus b form. So it's going to show us everything we need to graph the equation. The first thing you need to graph the equation is the y-intercept. Okay? Remember, the y-intercept is the b value. B tells you where to begin. So that's the first thing you want to start with, the b value. Its value, b, is -4, not just 4, but -4. So begin on your y-axis. This is the y, the one going up and down. begin at negative 1, 2, 3, 4. There's your first point right there. Your m value, your slope, is the thing that multiplies by x. M is negative 1 over 4. M tells you where to move. M tells you where to move, negative 1/2. Remember, its slope is rise over run. How much do you go up and down over how much do you go left and right? The top number tells you to either go up or down. It's negative, so we're going to go down 1. The bottom number that tells you to either go left or right is positive, so we're going to go to the right 2. So down 1 from where we start right there, and to the right 1, 2. Down 1 and over 2 will get you 2 points right there. And once you have 2 points, just draw a line through the both of them, and your graph for your equation will look just like that. Notice we didn't have to do any manipulating. We just began at negative 4. We went down 1 to the right 2. Once we had 2 points, we connected the dots to make an equation. Number 4 and 5 ask you for the x and y intercepts. Remember, in order to find the x-intercept, you plug in 0 for y. So 2 times x plus 3y equals negative 18. 3 is times y is now going to be 2x plus 3 times 0 equals negative 18. Whichever one you're looking for, you plug in 0 for the opposite one. What that does is it takes this part of the equation and it eliminates it. Because plus nothing is like you could add nothing to anything. It doesn't change what it is. So what you have now is 2x is equal to negative 18. Get x by itself by dividing by 2. If you do it to that side, do it to this side. X equals a negative divided by a positive is a negative. 18 divided by 2 is 9. There's your x-intercept, negative 9. In order to find your y-intercept, you're going to plug in 0 for the other one. We'll shorten this one up a little bit. Instead of saying 2x plus 3y is equal to negative 18, we'll say 2 times 0. 2 times the opposite one, 0. Plus 3y equals negative 18. Remember, anytime you have something times 0, it cancels that part out. 3y equals negative 18. Undo that by dividing by 3. A negative divided by a positive is a negative. 18 divided by 3 is 6. There's your y-intercept. That is enough to graph that equation. It doesn't ask you to graph it, but on your x-axis you can put a plot a point at negative 9, and on your y-axis you can put one at negative 6. Once you have those 2 points, you can draw a straight line between the two to have an equation. We'll do the same thing with number 5. We'll just shorten it up a little bit. If we're looking for the x-intercept, we're plugging in 0 for y. So 5x minus 3 times 0 is going to eliminate that part, equals 120. Divide by 5 on both sides. X equals, we know 5 goes into the number 12. We know it goes into it twice, and there's 2 left over. It goes into 20 4 times. So x-intercept is 24. The y-intercept, we're going to plug in 0 for the x, the opposite one. So 5 times 0 cancels that part out. Negative 3y equals 120. Divide by negative 3 on both sides. A positive divided by a negative is going to be a negative. 3 goes into 12 4 times, and then we'll carry our 0 down. Y is equal to negative 40. Number 6 and 7 are the same exact questions we've been dealing with. It says you run 5 miles in 1 hour and 20 miles in 4 hours. 5 miles in 1 hour is equivalent to 20 miles in 4 hours. The number 4 goes into itself 1 time and into 20 5 times. So notice the equations are the fractions are equivalent. So remember, when you're looking for rate of change, and this is the key to these two problems, it's not just values for a slope, it's values along with the units that go with them. 5 miles per 1 hour. So the answer to this one is simply 5 miles per hour. The same thing's true for number 7. It says chef cooks 9 pounds of chicken for 36 people and 17 pounds for 68 people. 9 pounds of chicken for 36 people is equivalent to 17 pounds for 68 people. Again, rate of change talks about not only the numbers involved as a slope, but the units as well. The number 9 goes into itself 1 time and into 36 4 times. Notice that simplifies to 1 pound for every 4 people. The same thing with the other one. The number 17 goes into itself once and into 68 4 times. So what that gives you is 1 pound of chicken for every 4 people. And again, the rate of change deals with the unit as well as the numbers that go with it. 1 pound for every 4 people. Case 8 and 9 are the same, almost identical problems, just 2 different slopes clearly. None of the points are highlighted for you, okay? So you have to choose 2 good points in order to determine the slope. Now, we know that this one's a negative slope just by looking at it because it has it's going downhill. We know that this one's a positive slope just by looking at it because it's going uphill. But it doesn't ask you to determine if it's just positive or negative. But what that tells you is that if you come up with something that's opposite one of those, you know you did something incorrect. So just recalculate your slope. In order to determine slope, choose good intersection points. What I mean by that, if you choose this point, that's a good point, because you can tell what its x and what its y value is. If you choose this point, that's not a good point, because you can clearly see what its x value is. It's 3. But you have to kind of guess what its y value is 3. You have to kind of guess what its x value is. You know, it's kind of between -2, -1 and -2. So go down and choose one that's not on the middle. Like this is a bad one. This is a bad one. All of those are bad ones. This is a good one right here. It's on the intersection. You can see what is its x and what is its y value. Remember, in order to find the slope, it's how much it's either going to go up or down. You know, it's going down this time. So going down 1, 2, 3 times. Down 3 we know is -3 since we went down. And we're going to the right over how much you either go right or left. We're going to the right 1 time, 2 times. Since we went to the right, that's positive. So the slope of number 8 is -3/2. The same thing with number 9. Choose points that go through intersections like this one. Don't use this one. It looks like it's below it. Don't use this one or this one or this one. This looks like a good one. Choose those 2. Okay? And if those aren't to your likings, go pick 2 more that look like they're going through intersections. But if you use those 2, again, how much we're going to go up or down? We're going 1, 2, 3, up 3, so it's +3, and to the right 1, 2, 3, 4. To the right 4 times is +4. There's your slope of number 2. And then again, check the positive and negative values. We said 8 was going to be negative. That's what we got. And we said 9 was going to be positive. That's what we got. So chances are you probably got it right. Number 10 tells you to find the slope, but now you don't have a picture. You want to use the slope formula. Remember, the slope formula is the change of y, or the difference of y. That's why we subtract sub 2 minus sub 1 over the change of x. X sub 2 minus x sub 1. Label it. The first point is x, y. The second point is xy. The first one is sub 1. The second one is sub 2. And then all you got to do is plug them into the according spots. M is equal to y sub 2's value is -3 minus y sub 1's value is 7 over x sub 2's value is 6 minus x sub 1's value is 5. And just simplify the fraction. -3 minus 7 is going to be, m's value is going to be -10 on top. And 6 minus 5 is going to be 1. So the slope is going to simplify. There's no reason to write anything over 1, -10. Number 11 says the student finds the slope between 7/9 and 7/17. She writes 9 minus 7 over 17 minus 7. 9 minus 17. I said minus 7 a second ago. 9 minus 17. She did y sub She did one y value minus the other y value. She did y sub 1 minus y sub 2. Remember, it's not wrong to do it that way. It's just the order you go with. Then she goes back and she does 17 minus 7. Now she does x sub 2 minus x sub 1. You can't go both directions like that. So what mistake did she make? And as short of an answer as we can put, she reversed, thank you, that's a good word. She reversed either the top or bottom. Because it was okay the way she did it on top. It was a little bit unorthodox because we say sub 2 minus sub 1 most of the time. But she reversed either one. If you're going to go one direction, you got to go that way both times. You can't go opposite directions like that. Then it says state whether this slope is 0 or undefined. You can memorize the fact that if you have a vertical line, something going straight up and down, it's not going to have any slope. Something that has no slope is something that's undefined. Or you can say, well, I can write an N with this one and write no slope. That's what some students showed me a long time ago. That's why this one's undefined. Or you could say, okay, well, if I check the slope of this point and this point, well, I know what the slope is. I got to go up and down one time, but I don't go right or left at all. 0. This is why you can't have a 0 at the bottom of a fraction. That's why it's undefined. So 3 different ways you can remember which one's undefined versus which one is 0 slope. Graph the linear equation. This is in y equals mx plus b form. You can't see the m value, though. This says y equals x plus 1. There's something right here in place of the m. Yeah, it's not 0 because if it were 0, if we multiplied that by x, it would cancel it out. The only thing it can be is 1. Now we have values for both m and b. B still tells you where to begin. So on your graph, on your y-axis, begin at 1 right there. M still tells you where to move. Your m value is 1. Remember, slopes are always fractions. So what can we write that over? 1. If it's not a fraction already, make it a fraction by putting it over 1. Slopes tell you to either rise, it tells you to either go up or down, rise first. So this one's positive 1, says go up 1, over run, positive 1, go to the right 1. So go up 1 more and to the right 1 more and put up 1 to the right 1, and there's your equation for y equals x plus 1. Number 14, we're still graphing. Y equals negative 2/5 x plus 3. Again, this is in mx plus b form. Here's your m, negative 2/5. Here's your b, tells you where to begin, positive 3. So begin at positive on your y-axis, 1, 2, 3. There's our first point on your y-axis. M, your slope tells you where to move. Remember, it tells you where to move. Either go up or down, and then go left or right. Negative 2 says go down 2. Positive 5 tells us to go to the right. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So down 2 and to the right 5. Notice where I only went down 2, not 3. And to the right 5. Once you have your 2 points, connect them with a line, and there's your graph for y equals negative 2/5 x plus 3. This is super hard. Number 15, we're graphing y equals negative 5. We're still graphing in 2 variables. So when you get to number 16, you just have to graph an x value. Don't graph it like an inequality or something like that. Don't just graph the point. Y equals negative 5. This is your y-axis. So at negative 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, that's where it's going to cross through right there. It's an equation, so it's a line that's going to be horizontal at negative 5. Same thing's true, like I said, with number 16. Its value is x equals negative 4. So on the x-axis, this one's the x, go to negative 1, 2, 3, 4. That's where it's going to cross through, and it's going to be a vertical line like this that crosses through at negative 4. Number 17 says solve for y, then graph the equation. Okay, so make it say y equals, in this case, we're going to make it say y equals mx plus b. We only need to do one step to do that. We only need to move this part right here that's not y over to the other side. It's adding 4x. So remember, when it's adding something, look at the sign in front of the 4x. It's not shown, so you know it's positive 4x. Undo that by subtracting 4x. If you subtract it on the left, subtract 4x on the right. If you subtract 4x, remember, you're not going to get any version of 3 or negative 3 right there because those are not like terms. Cancel this out. Y is equal to, so we got two terms over there. We got a 1 and we got a negative 4x. Remember, put the mx one first and then put the b one next. So negative 4x, positive 1, mx plus b. This is your m value. This is your b value, positive 1. So when you graph this equation, begin at positive 1. There's your first point on your y-axis. It's always your y-intercept. Your m value tells you where to move. Remember, m is negative 4. All slopes are fractions. Remember, so if we want to put this over something to where it doesn't change it, we're going to put it over 1. Negative 4 tells you to either go up or down. It's negative, so we're going to go down 4. Positive 1 tells you to either go left or right. It's positive, so we're going to go to the right. A trick about slopes is if you always put the negative on top, you'll never go to the left. You'll always go to the right with your slope. So you'll either go up or down, and you'll always go right. But just look at the sign to make sure you're correct. Negative 4 says we're going to go down 1, 2, 3, 4. So we got to go down that many, and to the right 1 time. So down 4 and to the right 1. There's our second point. Once you have 2, you can draw your line through them, and there is your equation for 4x plus y is equal to 1, which we converted to say y equals negative 4x plus 1. Number 18 says x minus 3y is equal to 15. Move x over. We still want to get y by itself. So when we move that over, we subtract x to do it. Do it here. What that gives us is negative 3y on the left is equal to, you got two terms over there, 15 and a negative x. Put the x one first. Negative x, positive 15. Not quite y equals mx plus b. Get y by itself by dividing by negative 3. Do it here and here to balance it out. This will cancel it out and say y is equal to negative, there's a 1 there, x divided by negative 3. A negative divided by negative is a positive 1 over 3x. And a positive 15 divided by negative 3, opposite signs, is a negative 5. Here is y equals mx plus b. You can see both of the things. The b tells you where to begin. It tells you to begin at negative 5. So on your y-axis, the intercept says negative 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. There's your first point. Your slope value is 1/3. That tells you to either go up or down 1. It's positive, so we're going to go up 1, and then go left or right 1. It's positive, so we're going to go to the right 1, 2, 3. Up 1 and to the right 3 is going to be right there. You have 2 points, and you draw your line through your 2 points to show your equation for x minus 3y equals 15. Then number 19 says we should start solving these equations. 6x minus 5 equals 5x minus 2. You have x's on both sides. Move your smaller 5x over to your larger 6x. It's positive, so subtract it. You subtract it there, subtract it here. 6x minus 5x is 1x. You still have minus 5. You still have equals negative 2. Get x by itself by getting rid of minus 5 by adding it. You add it there, add it here. Negative 2 plus 5. If you have to do it, think of it this way. Negative 2 plus 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 is positive 3. So x's value is positive 3. And should have been out ready to do the repeats from the original test. Number 20 says we're solving 7d minus 3d minus d plus 8 is equal to 2d. Put all your d's together. 7d minus 3d is 4d minus 1 more D is 3D, plus 8 equals 2D. Get your D's by itself, or normally you'd move your smaller one over to your larger one, but since 8's on the left-hand side, let's move everything else to the right. Subtract 3D. If you do it there, subtract 3D here. 2D minus 3D is negative 1D. This cancels out and you still have 8, but we don't have D by itself. We got negative 1D. We want to get it to say D equals. So that says negative 1 times it. Undo it by dividing by negative 1. If you do it there, do it here. A positive divided by negative is a negative 8. So D is equal to negative 8.